Namaste friends, I hope you are doing fine. What happens when we do not use a calendar table in Power BI data model? We import fact tables into the model, followed by dimension tables or create the dimension tables within Excel or Power BI. But we miss adding a calendar table into the data model and try to use the date columns within the fact tables. When you lack a calendar table in a Power BI data model, you may encounter several limitations and challenges. The calendar table is an essential component in data modeling for time-related analysis and reporting. Here are some consequences of not using the calendar table. Limited time intelligence. A calendar table allows you to perform time-based calculations and analysis efficiently. Without it, you will face difficulties in implementing time intelligence functions like year to date, month to date, quarter to date, etc. These calculations often require comparing data across different time periods, which becomes challenging without a dedicated calendar table. Inconsistent date hierarchy. Power BI relies on a well-defined date hierarchy to enable drill down and aggregation capabilities. Without a calendar table, you won't have a structured hierarchy of dates, year, quarter, month, day to navigate through the data easily. It can make the reporting and exploration process more cumbersome for end users. Inaccurate calculations. Time related calculations such as year over year growth, period comparisons, or moving averages heavily depend on a calendar table. Without it, you may need to resort to complex tax formulas or inefficient workarounds, resulting in less accurate or slower calculations. Limited visualization options. Power BI provides various visualization options that are specifically designed for time-based analysis such as timelines, date slicers, and custom visuals. These features require a well-defined calendar table to function properly. Without it, you may lose out on the full potential of these visualizations. Inefficient filtering. A calendar table simplifies the process of filtering data based on specific time periods. Without it, you will need to rely on manual filtering using date columns, which can be error prone and time consuming. Additionally, you may miss out on features like selecting a range of dates or comparing different time periods dynamically. In summary, not using a calendar table in a Power BI data model can lead to limitations in time based analysis, inaccurate calculations, inconsistent hierarchies, limited visualization options, and inefficient filtering. Incorporating a calendar table helps overcome these challenges and enables more robust and accurate reporting and analysis capabilities. I am Subhojit, and in this exciting session, I will demonstrate the process of creating a calendar table and incorporating it in your data model to enhance its efficiency. This technique is applicable to both Power BI and data models built in Microsoft Excel. Throughout this tutorial, I'll provide clear and concise explanations along with relevant examples to ensure that you fully understand the concepts. I encourage you to follow along and try it yourself as hands-on experience is the key to mastery. In this comprehensive tutorial, we will discuss the following points. We will create a calendar based on our requirements, save it as a template, and import it to other workbooks for reporting purposes. Understand the basics of Power Pivot in Excel. Create a relationship between our custom calendar and a fact table. Then create a measure using this relationship. Import the calendar table into Power BI. Finally, some bonus tips and tricks to keep you ahead in the game. Let's dive in and create the calendar table first. So this is an Excel file and I'll create the first column, which is date. In cell A2, I'll type 1/1/2019. So I'm using the month, day, and year format. You can make the changes based on your location and the type of date format you want to use. There is a small square towards the right hand corner of the cell. The moment I take my mouse pointer over it, it changes into a plus sign. And if I just click and drag it down, you will see the date increasing. I'll resize this column to make it visible. I have dragged it all along so that it accommodates till the date 12/31/2030. Now this depends entirely on your requirement. We are ready to get onto the next column. I'll press Ctrl up arrow key to go to the first row. Under View menu, I'll click on Freeze Panes, Freeze Top Row for the time being. The date column now has all the dates from January 1, 2019 to December 31, 2030. You can use this column for any date-related calculations or analysis in Excel. I'll now select this entire column of dates, click on Insert, and click on Table. So it asks, where is the data for your table? It's in column A and my table has the headers. I'll click on OK. So this is now changed into a table and we have a menu called Table Design. I'll change the name of this particular table to TBL underscore calendar. Press enter. Let's add a second column called weekday. Press enter. You see the column is added to the table that we just created. Here we will use a formula called weekday equal to weekday. So I'll press a tab on the recommendation. Select cell A2 and we have a second parameter over here. So I press a comma and here you can specify how do you want to count the week as. So Sunday to Saturday or say Monday to Sunday, etc, etc. So here I would want Monday to Sunday. I'll press a tab. So we get the number 11. Close the bracket and this is coming as a date format, but in reality it is not a date. So I'll select this column, go to home, and instead of date I'll select number and no decimals. So I've got the weekdays over here in this column. Next, I would like to add a holiday column. The holiday column will hold the dates on which there is a holiday based on the location you are in. For example, in first of any year is a US holiday. So I'll type 1/1/2019. Over here, I have ensured that all the dates like 1st of Jan and 31st of December, they are populated over here as holidays. I can import this into my data model and use this as a holiday list. If you have data for multiple locations in your data set, different countries, so you will have to add those holiday lists in separate columns. So for example, if I have both India and US data in my data set, so I'll name this column as US holiday and I will add one more column over here with Indian holidays and populate them accordingly. The next column I would like to add is holiday. Now this particular column will have a formula equal to if is blank the holiday column then it is 1, else it is 0. Press an enter. So here we have it. So wherever there is a date present in the US holiday column, this will be marked as 0, which means it is not a working day. The next column that I would like to add is weekday count. Now here I'm trying to find out if the day of the week is a week end or a working day. I'll use a formula if weekday is greater than or equal to 6, then the 0, else 1. If we look at the weekday column, here we had selected 11, where Monday to Sunday was our week, and therefore Monday is the number 1, Tuesday 2, Wednesday 3. So Saturday and Sunday will be 6 and 7. So wherever there is 6 and 7, they should be counted as weekends, which is 0 and not 1. The next column is I need a final weekday count, which is nothing but if it is a working day and a holiday, it should be considered as 0. The formula that I would like to use here is if or this equal to 0, comma, weekday count equal to 0, then 0, else 1. And I press enter. So wherever there is a US holiday marked in the US holiday column, it is a holiday, and therefore this weekday count, even if it is not 6 or 7, it's still a holiday and we won't be counting this as a working day. So 6 and 7 everywhere it will be 0, and the rest of the 5 days of the week will be 1. Next we will add month column, and here the formula is month of this particular date column. Enter. So for the Jan month it will be 1, for the February month it will be 2, so on and so forth. Next we will add month name equal to text of date column, comma, and here the format that I would like to use is MMM. So it spells out the entire month name. Next I would want is the year equal to year of this particular date. Enter. And then I need a custom format which is MMM dash YYYY to use in the charts. So here it will be like text of this particular date column, and the format is MMM dash YYYY. We will add week of the year column, week of the year, And here we will use a formula week num, give it the date column. Return type is again 11 because we chose 11 in the weekday column. So the return type should be 11. Week of the month. Week of the month. In this case, the calculation is a bit tricky. So we will find out the week of this particular date, which is 1/1/2019. And we have already done that in the column week of the year. I'll take this as the input minus. Now we have to find the week number of this particular date. Week num of, we'll use the date formula. And here we need the year, which is in column I, comma. Then we need the month, which is in column G, comma. And the first of that particular month, close parenthesis, comma. Here again we'll choose 11 as Monday, close the parenthesis, and close the first parenthesis over here. Press enter, it comes as 0. Now 0 can't be a week, therefore we will add plus 1 over here. So we took the week number of the year, and then we took the week number from the start of the month for that particular date, and then we added 1. Therefore, for the month of January, this particular date falls in week 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this particular week started from 31st of December 2018. Therefore, one day lies in the previous year. So we calculated week of the year, week of the month. The next column that we will calculate is start of week. Start of week. Formula equal to this date minus this. I'll enclose it in parenthesis. Plus 1. So you got the start of the week as 12/31, and in this case the start of the week is 1/7, which is correct. 1/7 is a Monday. I'll enclose this within the text formula. And give it a format, comma, double quotes, mm/dd/yy, double quotes, close parenthesis, and I will concatenate the words week starting, space, and double quotes, ampersand, press enter. So week starting, this. The next column that I would like to add is end of week. Here we will use a formula equal to open parenthesis, the date plus 7 minus the weekday, close parenthesis. The 1/6 is the end of the week because 1/7 is the start of the next week. And again, now here what I'll do is I'll add another column, actual end of week. Copy this same formula over here. So this is the benefit of a table. Like you change the formula in the first row, and the moment you hit enter, it changes the formula for all the rows in that particular table. Now here I'll encapsulate this particular formula within the text formula and give the same format mm/dd/yyyy, and then concatenate it with week ending and so now we have week starting and week ending over here, and we have one more column. I'll explain the benefit of this column when I incorporate this particular calendar table into the data model. I'll add one more column, YYYYMM, enter, and here what I'll do is equal to year column into 100. I'll encapsulate it within parenthesis plus month. Now this should not be a date, so I select the entire column and change this to number without decimals. So this is like Jan 2019 and 2019-01. Numeric representation of this particular month and year combination. Another thing over here is quarter. The formula that I would like to use here is the int and the month number, which we already have in our table there. Plus 2 divided by 3. This should not be a date. So let's select the entire column again. And I change this to number and without any decimals. So Jan, Feb, and March should be in quarter 1. And April onwards should be quarter 2. You can change this based on the fiscal year that you have in your location or use at your location. I'll add a Q in front of this Q ampersand, and the text now it's Q1. I'll copy this, and here I would add actual quarter and paste the formula. I'll change this to number without decimals. So I have added all the variants of the date that can be used. Namely, I can use just month name or year, a combination of month and year, week, and even quarter over here. So I'll save this as calendar table. I'll save it by the name of practice calendar table. Let's import the calendar table into Excel. I'll click on the data menu, get data from file from Excel workbook. Select the calendar file, import. This is the table which we created, and I'll click on transform data. In the Power Query editor window, we will find that the data type of these columns is detected correctly because we were using a table to import it. I have no changes to make, so I'll click on close and load. Close and load to. I'll use the option called only create connection. And this time I'll use this particular option, which is add this data to the data model. I'll put a check mark on it and click on OK. Even though it did not push the data onto the spreadsheet, we do have the query and it shows 4383 rows loaded. Let's find out where these rows got loaded. I have a Power Pivot menu on my Excel menu bar, and here I'll click on Manage. This will open a new window, and over here we will see the data is loaded into a table inside this particular window. This is my data model. I'll close this. If you don't have a Power Pivot over here, click on File, Options, Add-ins. In the Manage drop-down, click on COM Add-ins. Then click on Go. Over here, you will see the option Microsoft Power Pivot for Excel. Put a check mark and click OK. Power Pivot menu will appear over here. Let's get acquainted with the Power Pivot editor window. To the lower left side of the Power Pivot window, we find the tables present in the data model, listed as tabs. We can navigate through the tabs in a fashion like worksheets in an Excel file. We can import tables or view and change existing connections from the Get External Data section. We have a button to refresh the data in the data model. We can insert a pivot table directly from the model into the Excel worksheet using this button. We can format, filter, and sort the data in the data model using the buttons in Formatting and Sort and Filter sections. Shaping the data model based on requirements is very important. The View section helps us with this task. Power Pivot can help us create some basic measures from the data model using the Calculations section. Let's see the Power Pivot window and its components in action. First, we'll click on the Design tab. And I would want to mark this particular table as the date table. We have to give the default column where the dates reside. In our case, it is the date column itself. If I click on the drop down, we will see the other columns as well. I'll click on OK. So now this is a date table in our data model. I'll click on Home, click on Pivot Table, and here we have a lot of options: a pivot table, a pivot chart, a chart and table, horizontal, vertically placed, 2 charts and 4 charts. For the time being, I'll click on pivot table. It asks me where do I want to paste it. I will paste it in the existing worksheet in cell A1. I'll click on OK. And I have got this pivot table from the TBL underscore calendar table, which is present in our data model. And it's not present on any of the worksheets in the workbook. Let's see if I can select the month name. It went to columns. I'll drag it to rows. And here you will find that it is not starting from Jan. I'll go back to Power Pivot. And over here, what I'll do is I'll select the month name column. And here I have a sort by column. I'll click on it. And the month name column should be sorted by the month. I'll close this. And the moment I close it, this got sorted by the months automatically. So January comes first, February second, March, April, May, and so on and so forth. Now I'll remove this and let's take end of week. So end of week also looks like this. 1/1/23, then 22, 21, 27, 26, 20, and so on and so forth. I'll go back to the Power Pivot window. This time I'll select end of week, sort by column, and actual end of week, which is the column here next to it. I'll click on OK. I'll close this. And now you will see that it is sorted by the actual week endings. Having a calendar table in the data model helps a lot in this way. I would like to make one more change in the Power Pivot window. So I'll go back to Power Pivot, Manage, and in this column MMM-YYYY, it's showing me date and time, whereas I just need the month and the year, which is something like this. I can change it from the format in Power Pivot and it changes to January 2019, etc. I'll close this window and now I'll save this as a template. Excel underscore save. Anytime if I am creating a new report, I'll copy this particular Excel file, change the name of it, and then use it in the new report so that I don't have to perform the same step. Let's take an example. I got a new report request. I'll copy this, paste it. I open the file, click on enable content, Power Pivot, manage. From here, I will now select pivot table in existing worksheet, cell A1. Okay. Now let's drag end of week and you'll see that it is working fine. I'll copy this pivot, take another one, and here instead of week, I take the month. Let's copy this. And instead of month, now I'll take quarter. So you can use these sort columns to sort these in the correct format. And you can reuse this particular template for all your report requests. You don't have to perform these set of steps again. This was the first tip of this video. Let's move on. I'll right click on this query, click copy. On the Power BI window, I'll click transform data on the home tab. Right click in the queries pane and paste the query that I just copied. This will import the calendar into Power BI. I'll click on close and apply. It will load the calendar into the data model. So now it's loaded. There is a button called Data View in the left-hand panel. I will click on it. Then I'll click on the calendar table. it will display the data over here. I don't want the date to show up like this. I'll change it to a simple date format. From the format area, that looks better. I would like to change this to March 2021 or March 2001. Over here, you will see that you can go ahead and change this format. So what I'll do is I'll remove space YYYY, press enter. And it changes to Jan 2019, the first 3 letters of the month. I will change the format of actual end of week as well. There you go. Now, since I have just imported the query, I will have to ensure that sorting is done again over here. So I'll click on month name, sort by column, month. I'll take this column, sort by column, YYYYMM. End of week is to be sorted by actual end of week. Quarter one be sorted by actual quarter. I'll go back to the report view. So in the report view, I still have the date hierarchy over here. And this is simply because we have not marked this table as the calendar table. So in table tools, after selecting the calendar table in the data view, we will mark this as date table. And the same window pops up. So I'll just select date because it is the date column that I want to use. And this is validated successfully. I'll click on OK. It doesn't have an hierarchy over here. So the hierarchy is gone because we are using a custom table and a custom hierarchy. So let's try to insert a table. Select the month name and you will find that it is sorted. Let's enter another table. Try entering quarter, that is also sorted. Let's insert another table. This time let's choose MMM-YYYY. This too is sorted. Let's add one more table. Try to add week ending, end of week. This too is sorted. So the way it was working in Excel, it is also working in the Power BI desktop file. I'll save this as a template similar to what I did for the Excel file. the let add underscores instead of spaces. Click on save. The moment I get a new request for a report, I just copy this PBIX file and then start working within that. Before we proceed, you can help me boost my confidence. Please like the video if you like the video. You can subscribe to the channel to get notified on new content. Share your thoughts in the comments section. Share the video with your friends and colleagues. Let's import a fact table now. I'll click on data menu. From text CSV, and I'll select this CSV file, click on import, click on transform. Power Query has detected the data types properly. Close and load. Close and load to. Only create connection and add this data to the data model. I'll select these options, click on OK. I'll click on Power Pivot, Manage. We'll see the HRD data set over here. There is a diagram view over here which I'll click on. This will give me pictorial representation of both the tables with the column names only. There is a date column in the calendar table and there is date of hire column in the HRD dataset. I'll click and drag the date column from the calendar table and drop it on date of hire. This will create a one-to-many relationship. One means unique. So the calendar table has all the unique dates and the HRD dataset has multiple dates because on a particular date, multiple employees can be hired. So once this is done, I'll go back to the data view. We have created a relation between the calendar table and the HR dataset table. Now I'll click over here in the calculation area. So this is the button for calculation area. If I click on it, it disappears. If I click on it again, it appears. So I need the count of employees. So I'll come over here below the employee ID column. Click on auto sum. And over here, I need the count. So I'll just click on count. And this has created a measure with the DAX function count A on the column employee ID. I can change this measure and name it as total employees so that I can identify it easily in the pivot table fields window. Now, since this is created, I'll close this particular window. I'll click on Insert, Pivot Table from Data Model. And in the existing worksheet, I want it on cell A1. Click on OK. Now we see two tables in the Pivot Table Fields window. And once I click on this HR dataset table and scroll down, along with all the columns, there is the measure which is total employees, which we created just now, and it is prefixed with FX. I'll click on this. So total number of employees is 311. If I want to find out the month or the year when they were hired, we can do it from here. So say month name. I'll bring it to rows. There it is. If I want the year, there it is. In 2019, January 1, June 1, and November 1. 2020, 2021, 22, 23. So now this is sliced and diced. It is also in the correct order or chronology. If we want it week wise, we can select end of week, and this will give me the week wise hiring of the employees. Let's replicate this in Power BI. I'll right click on the HR dataset, query, click on copy. On the Power BI desktop, I'll click on transform data and get it into the Power Query editor. In the queries panel, I'll right click and click on paste. So this has imported the HR dataset. I'll click on close. The table is now loaded over here. I'll click on the model view. Over here, you will find the same pictorial representation of both the tables. I want to link date with date of hire. And this has created a one-to-many relationship over here. This is an active relationship, and the cross filter direction is single. So I have to select the date from the calendar table, and it will filter the HR dataset based on that. I'll go back to the report view. We can replicate the measure from the Excel file to the Power BI file. To do that, I'll click on Power Pivot, Measures, Manage Measures. It will load the data model and display the Manage Measures window. Here I can create a new measure, edit existing ones or delete existing ones. I'll click on Edit, copy this formula from here, move on to Power BI, right click on the table HR dataset, click on New Measure. You also have the New Measure button on the Home tab in Power BI desktop. In the function bar, I'll paste the formula that I copied. I'll change the name of the measure to total employees. Press enter. The measure total employees is created within the table, and the calculator icon shows that it is a measure. I can select the visual and click on this checkbox over here. It will show the total employees. Similarly, if I want to see it quarter wise, if I want to see it month wise, and if I want to see it week wise. The moment you introduce the measure over here, you will find that all the remaining dates where there was no hire gets removed. I will introduce a slicer into this particular report. Over here, I will select the year and I would like to change this into a vertical list. If I select 2023, all these visuals will be showing the entry only for 2023. Similarly, if I select for 2022, 2021, 2020, so this gets filtered automatically. Steps and tips I have shared so far apply to both Excel and Power BI data models. However, the pro tip I am about to share is specific to Power BI. I want to see the data for Q3 of one year and Q3 of another year side by side, without having to switch between two separate slicers. To do this, I will drag and drop the quarter column into the year slicer. This will create a cascading effect which will allow me to see the data for both Q3s at the same time. Let me show how this works in a visual. In this slicer, I have chosen just Q3 of 2020. I'll press Ctrl and click on Q3 of 2021. In this visual, you will see that the data appears only for Q3 of 2020 and Q3 of 2021. This helps me to create a comparison between two quarters in a single visual. That is how custom calendars can help to improve the accuracy, consistency, and flexibility of your data models. I have tried to make sure we cover everything. If you do have any other questions, please feel free to leave it in the comments section. I hope this video added another tool to your data analysis toolkit. We will meet again in another exciting video very soon. Stay tuned, bye bye, and take care.